Hey, welcome back to PETEPLAYS. Here we are playing Legend of Zelda Link to the Post. Link to the post. Link, he's heading to the post. Okay, so hey, we're about to go in this place, in this dungeon. Can we call it a dungeon? It's really a castle. But we gotta go up. Because we got some people to fight. Watch me just totally pwn these guys. Dude, laser sword, easy mode. Check this out. They kind of teach you what's going to be important later. So yeah, that's what's going on. I wanted to talk today. What can I not? Oh no. Okay, well I guess I can't do that. I thought that's what I was supposed to do. Anyway, I want to talk today a little bit about. Maybe that's what I did last time. I want to talk today a little bit about something that I've gotten some requests for, and I think it's something that is generally a little bit confusing when it comes to philosophy and like people who sort of aren't a part of it, and honestly, even for people who are a part of it, because you know, it's this thing called the Continental Analytic divide, and it's a reference to different sort of schools of philosophy might be the right word, like different ways of doing. Here we go. This is what I want. Different ways of doing philosophy. Bazow. And there are different ways of doing philosophy, largely in the West. Oh, look at these boys, these gentlemen. You think they'll ever die? Ways of doing philosophy in the West, and it's a little weird because usually someone who does one version of that philosophy kind of doesn't often know a whole lot about the other one. Some people can kind of like cross between them, and that's actually a really good thing to be able to do. But Continental and Analytic philosophy are like different schools. I do Continental philosophy. I don't do Analytic philosophy. And in general, I'm sort of not like really even interested in the problems of Analytic philosophy. Not because I think there's anything wrong with them necessarily. I mean, I think that each school of philosophy kind of has its... Oh, I can't go through that. Kind of has its own problems. Should I turn on all these lamps or maybe just... ignore them. But partly it's just because the stuff... rats. Oh, I still have it. Partly because the stuff I'm interested in... What?! He reached through with his little sword. That's garbage from a toilet. I can't get over there. How do I do it? How do I get... No, there's a chest over there that I need to get. There it is. Haha. So they kind of deal with different sorts of problems, and there has been, to sort of begin with, part of the reason that there is a strong divide is just, historically there have been different people with different kinds of, oh dear, with different kinds of, ideas about how to do things. Sort of the beginnings of the Continental Analytic divide lie probably around the... Ow! I got hit. Lie at the beginning, like right around the turn of the 20th century. Oh man, I'm tired of it being dark. And there were just, you know, some different guys doing different kinds of stuff. Do I have to turn on all the lamps? Is that how I open this door? Do I have to eliminate all of the bad guys? Maybe I push that. Aha! Goodbye! Is this where I came from? Oh dear. Ah! Ah, well, okay, there goes. Okay, there's a key. Okay. There were just some different guys doing different kinds of things, right? Like, ooh, let's talk to Sasha. Even with a master sword, you cannot inflict physical harm to the wizard. You must find a way to do. Okay, I know what that means. Now, I think what really opened up the divide wasn't just, oh, hey, here's some different ways of doing things. I think in America, a lot of the divide has to do with communism in the 50s and the Red Scare, largely because certain schools of thought in continental philosophy were kind of thought to be like bastions of Marxism or something like that. Like, basically it was like, oh, if you did a continental philosophy, you were sympathetic to Marxism, and that meant that you were, like, dangerous, right? So a lot of people were sort of pushed out of their jobs and kind of forced to they just didn't have as much social and public influence after the 50s in America, which is why about 3/4, oh dear, which is why about 3/4 of philosophers in America are analytic. Oh, these guys are tough. So, like, it is kind of interesting, because it's kind of like, hey, what are the actual... Wow, that guy was tough. What are the actual differences, right? Like, if we could put in a list, what would be some of the differences? And I think one of these moves... There we go. Some of the differences... have to do with method, and also just the way that they kind of take up certain sorts of problems. I'm gonna knock you off. Goodbye. These are sort of general, like broad, very broad swaths, right? But in general, continental philosophy relies much less on what might be called scientism. Oh, wait, we gotta take a break. Scientism, we'll come back to scientism. Petey, I've been waiting for you. I was hoping I could make Zelda vanish in front of your eyes. Behold, the last moment of Princess Zelda. That's my magic noise. Goodbye. Oh, she did! Oh, with this, the seal of the 7 wise men is at last broken. It is now only a matter of time before the evil power cover this, which we're going to be the power of gold. Goodbye! And I'm like, oh no, how did he get away? Oh, there it is. Okay, this is a fight. I can do this fight pretty easily. So, less of a sort of, reliance on scientism, which I think in general is just the idea that, like, the natural the natural sciences, oh, I can't do anything about those. I can't knock those back at him. The natural sciences are, like, the best way to investigate the world, that they say the most about the world. Continental philosophy is not as much into that as analytic. And like I said, that... Oh, I missed! I gotta be closer to him, I guess. That kind of becomes oh, no! That was dumb! That kind of becomes an issue of method. here, you will see a lot of people tend to think that the difference between Continental and Analytic is, oh, Continental is more liberal artsy, and Analytic is more, oh, rats. Analytic is more science-y. And there's a reason for that. Come on! The reason for that largely has to do with this sort of, the place of the natural sciences within the practice. And for Continental, it's just not as strong. And in general, they tend to be much more critical of methods of scientific inquiry in a way that attempts to maybe like reform them or undo them or make them function differently. Whereas, in my experience, analytics tend to kind of go, well, Matt, like the true hero that you are, but I'm not ready to admit defeat yet. I will draw you into the dark world. No. If I stab him before he... Oh, okay. Well, I'm dead. I'm not dead. It's just what happens. Petey, it is I, Summonjans. I am communicating to you across the void through telepathy. The place where you now stand was the Golden Land. The place where you now stand was the Golden Land. But evil power turned it into the dark world. The wizard has broken the wise men's seal and opened a gate to link the worlds at Hyrule Castle. In order to save this half of the world, the light world, you must win back the golden power. You must also rescue the 7 maidens who Aghanim sent to the dark world. Does it sound like I just made that guy's name up? I may have. As members of the bloodline of the 7, there's some girl. Hey, just go save them. Like, they're locked in some dungeons, you know, like you had to get those pendants. Like, maybe just go do that same thing, but it's a girl instead. The Palace of Darkness should be your first goal in this world. Petey, I can rely on only you. Please make this old man's wishes come true. I beg you. Also, if you could find me a Bitto honey or maybe a Werther's original, that would be really nice. Beep, beep. Beep, 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 beep. Welcome to the dark world. I'll get back to Continental and Analytic philosophy in just a second. I think this can only be broken by a big bomb, but... The theme song from the dark world. It's a dark place that's menacing and dark. There we go. That's a Freddy Greddy thing. I didn't come up with that myself. Okay, so back to... Continental Analytic divide. I think analytic philosophy is much more willing to be like, hey, this is kind of the progress of our scientific apparatus, and we're going to work within that to make certain kinds of things happen. Push this? No? Okay. So that's kind of thing one-ish. Boy, these are... No, pig! Oh dear. What if I blew him up? Oh dear. I don't really need to do this. I kind of just want to. Ow! So thing 2, and sort of along those lines. Continental philosophy tends to embrace what we might call historicism. And basically that's just kind of like doubling down on the sort of like liberal artsy sort of feel. Basically, the idea that I should look at my map, I suppose. The idea that like, hey, things sort of we have to look at things in a historical context, and that seems like a sort of like, well, of course we have to. But what I mean by that is a lot of analytic ways of going about things involve looking at sort of discrete, sort of timeless issues or issues that are sort of viewed as being timeless. So if you were going to do like have a discussion of ethics in continental philosophy, you would have to sort of look at the progress of ethics across. Do I go in here? I'm gonna run into a monkey. I think I'm gonna. What? You liar! This is not the way to go. How do I can't get out of here. Nope. Okay. No monkey though. Whereas in analytic philosophy, there's a sort of an emphasis on like, let's pull this thing out and look at it really, really deeply, like really precisely, right? And even the sort of name analytic comes from the idea of like, we're going to analyze, we're going to get really granular about things. So in analytic philosophy, you might have something like, is this it? No. Wait, what is this nonsense then? Oh, hello, tree man. Did you come here looking for the power of gold? But you're too late. It only obeys the first person who touched it. The man who last claimed the power of gold wished for this world. It reflects his heart. I came here because of the greed for the golden power, but look what happened to me. To restore the golden land, a person worthy of the golden power must touch the man, or defeat him, like touch the golden power. Whatever. Now I'm a tree. Blow that up. Oh, these are just hard. So in analytic philosophy, you have like one way of doing ethics is like thinking about ethical dilemmas, right? And these are sort of framed as like somewhat timeless examples of like being in a situation where you would be challenged in an ethical way. An example of this is the trolley problem. The trolley problem goes something like this. You are at the switch track of a train, and a train is coming and is barreling down the tracks, and it's going to hit 5 people who are like tied up on the tracks, right? Now you're standing at the switch track, like you're the only person who can do anything about it, and you can move the switch track, like pull the little lever so that it only hits one person. Do you do it? And are you able to like, can you really be not involved simply by just like, oh, I can't do anything about this, I don't want to do anything, right? Is that a sort of excuse? Or are you sort of involved simply by merit of being in the situation? So like that's an ethical dilemma. Did he just do 3 hearts of damage? Oh my goodness. Holy moly. All right, I have no idea how to get through here. Wow, that was rough, my dude. Yeah, you're a strong mouth object. Well, that's not helpful. So yeah, sort of like you've got a very like a discrete problem, and we're not gonna try to like. It's not like, you know, what would I do if the train was a 1920s train, or like what does the development of train technology over the course of American history mean for that? It's just sort of like, let's lay bare the principles of what you would do. Now, oh, I'm dumb. I thought I was stuck. Let's figure that out. Whereas continental ethics would do something much more like, hey, I don't think I can. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I think the best way to think of that is just sort of like historical problems as they sort of like, oh, come on! As they sort of proceed across time, or discrete timeless problems. I'm stuck here. I can't go anywhere. The next thing, I've read this in a book, and I'm not sure that it's entirely a fair assessment, but it is something that I certainly There's Monkey. I'm Kiki the monkey. Kiki, I love rupees. Can you give me some rupees? Yeah, and I like that the options are give him 10 rupees or never give him anything. Okay, I need to not die. Okay. How do I get out of here? Oh my goodness. Oh dear. Okay, careful. Oh, I missed. Okay, well. Let's just play it real safe here. Oh! Okay. Basically, that there is, I think in general, maybe a sort of greater willingness. He's going to open it for 100 rupees. He's a greater willingness to sort of look for a kind of integration in theory and practice in continental philosophy, in the sense of like, you would hope that the things that you come to in learning philosophy would kind of affect your politics, I think is maybe a way that kind of comes across. I have heard stories and sort of trends and things that there is a sort of less it's thought, you know, the sort of joke that like, oh, you're at a conference and you overhear analytic philosophers saying something to the effect of like, oh my gosh, this guy thought that you should you know, basically like this person thinks that their politics affects their philosophical work. Oh, I shot it. I didn't want to do that. I think that's somewhat unfair, but there are some trends, and I think it just mostly has to do with the fact that like Continentals tend to be known as much more explicitly political in a lot of ways. What do I do here? Oh no, my baby. What? Talk to me, Sriracha. Oh no, it's Zelda. I'm locked into the rock on top of Death Mountain. I know you're doing your best, but please hurry. That wasn't helpful. Oh my goodness, I need a bomb now. Yeah, just sort of, and I think this is also a response to the sort of like politicization of, you know, most things, which I'm of the opinion that like things have always been political. All things have always been political, but they certainly have definitely been very political since the 50s at least, right? That was the sort of time when like just everything kind of became about what are your politics. Oh dear, look at these tough gentlemen. Okay, there we go. Gotta deal with him. Ah! Rats, not gonna... Oh, I missed! Haha! Haha! There we go. Yeah, that's a sort of sloppy way of describing that, but... oh dear. You will generally... Ow! You will generally hear things along those lines when you're talking about the Continental Analytic divide. I just found it in hand. There is... This isn't helpful to me, but I guess I'm going to get the hammer at some point here. Oh, no. That stinks. Oh, wow, it doesn't... Can I hit these guys with it? Can I hit... No! Okay, well... I really wish the beeping would end. We ended the beeping! I've been taking these from this text by a guy named Critchley called The Continental Philosophy, a very short introduction. I don't know that I agree with his conclusions. I don't know. It's sort of tough to tell because it's meant to be a sort of primer. Wait for it. Oh dear. It's meant to be a sort of primer, and like obviously there are things that you can't completely cover in that circumstance. But yeah, that's another thing about analytic philosophy is this sort of dependence on logic as a formal language of philosophy, and you see that much less in Continental. You just don't see that being like logic in the sense of like formal logic, right? Like you're gonna think logically, right? Like you don't want to think stupidly or think according to no like preconceived set of logical guidelines, but the use of formal logic is a sort of language that takes away all of the confusion of other languages, is something that's important in analytic philosophy, and something that I think is not, it doesn't make sense to me, because logic is just another language. Like it's not the meta language, it's just another way of doing language. And I think when I hear sometimes people say something to the effect of like, oh yeah, like that's, can I knock them all off? Ah! Oh, this is bad. This is, whoa! Okay, well I got rid of that guy, and now I got a heart. Rats. Oh, good, knocked him off, okay. Whew. I just, yeah, I think that's kind of silly to think that it is. I do think that understanding formal logic is actually really important. Oh, I should have gone the other way. It's actually really important for putting together arguments and figuring out like how you're gonna do things. But I also don't think that it's like the end-all, be-all thing. There is also in analytic philosophy an emphasis on clarity and precision. And it's funny, again, that sort of becomes like, this is how we know it's good analytic philosophy. We're clear and precise. And it's like, well, yeah, but we want everything to be clear and precise. It's just that clear and precise comes to have a sort of a political meaning, I think. Oh man, it's two. Let's see if I can. What? And that political meaning tends to be something like rational according to like white Western standards of epistemology. And I think I gotta shoot this. Yep, there we go. And like I said, that's politicized. And in my Everything is Political episode, I talked about this idea that like, things that we don't think as being political or raced or gendered or classed or whatever end up being very much so those things. One of those things is knowledge and what it means to know things. And this is something that I think analytic philosophy tends to not be that great at sometimes, which is just sort of, it takes for granted that like its systems of knowing things are like the true, definitely correct ways of knowing things. Or at least that they are the sort of like best or only ones, or that there's some sort of like march toward progress. How do you tend to in how do I do this? Can I throw it? Maybe I can throw it. Ha ha! Look who's smart, baby. It's me. I think I have a key. I don't have a key. I'm dead. This is bull honky. How do I get over there? Okay. Maybe there's another direction that I have to go. Did I go to the right? Is there a right for me to go to? Oh, I think there is. Oh! There we go. Yeah, so I don't know how great... Oh, good, that's what I wanted. I don't know how great of an explanation that is. There are a lot of sympathies between Continental and Analytic philosophy, and also they're not the only ones out there. This is just simply a history of, like, modern Western thought. Oh! Well, that didn't work. Okay, how do I... There we go. I think I gotta go this way because I don't have any keys. Oh, my darling! Oh, dear. Well, I got the compass. That doesn't really help. Up until... Western philosophy up until Kant is... really pretty unified in a lot of ways. Maybe you... Unarrow? I don't understand. Maybe unified isn't the right word, but like there was no such thing as Continental v Analytic philosophy prior to like... I mean, really prior to like 1890, but it's just that there's a sort of tracing back of... oh, maybe I should... to Kant. And then basically after Kant, it's sort of like, well, what's important? And the first big kind of skip is, for analytics, Hegel, not that important. For Continentals, Hegel, very important. Check this out. Oh, no, that's not it. Wait. Check this out. What? I'm still out of keys. Well, that's not the way I wanted to go then, was it? Uh-oh. I gotta get there somehow. Well, I need to find another key. Okay. Did I miss a door? Is there a way? You know what I'm not doing is I'm not looking at the map. Oh, see, yeah, there's nothing there. I got those things. Great, now there's beeping. And then I went down south. But there wasn't anything, and I don't think that's a thing. Yeah, that's just a hole that I don't want to fall in. Well, raspberries. Oh, wait. Ah, great. Now I've got to... This is fun. Whee! Come on. No, I want to... Ah, no! I want to defeat you! It didn't even give me anything. So I'm sort of getting to the end of the episode. I hope that I have made even a little bit of sense. Wait, how would I go? How would I go about doing that? Wait, map! Okay, I'm gonna take a risk. And I'm gonna fall. Yay! Ha 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 ha! Oh dear. Oh, this is bad. This is really bad. This is... Oh, this is incredibly bad. Did they fly away? I gotta make... Yes, there we go. That's the key that I need. That's the heart that I need. I hope that all the things that I was saying made even a little bit of sense. And honestly, it's not vitally important to understand that. Oh, I don't need to be here. To understand that. I think it's just that sometimes there's a confusion about like what philosophy does and can do. From the sense of like, oh, like what's the purpose? Like, what's it gonna get me? And I think a lot of people see that there are people in computing and like Silicon Valley and doing all sorts of things with like AI, and that philosophy is part of that, and it is. There's really important philosophy that's being done in those areas, but that tends to be more of an analytic bent, doing like philosophy of mind. I don't want to go here. Doing, can I hit these bunjos with arrows? Is that a thing I'm allowed to do? Oh dear. This was bad. This was bad. Okay, well at least I... Oh, I'm toast! Ah! Okay, what if I did this? Okay, I got him out of here. Okay. Ooh, no! Whew. Okay. You don't see a lot of like, get over there. You don't see a lot of like, I don't know, like, aha. You don't see a lot of people who are like into like Marxist literary theory hanging out in Silicon Valley. Like that's their thing. And not to say that they couldn't. It's just that like, oh dear. Okay, woo! Oh, I've got a key. This is where I need to go. Anyway, one thing. Ow! One thing that I've really liked that I've heard is gee whiz. Aha! Is you know, what can I do with my major? And I heard this from a classics professor who was I worked with one semester, and he said your major is not a hammer, right? You don't hit it with things. It's not a tool itself. Your major is a it's like a path. It's a course of study. It's like an exercise regimen, maybe might be the best way of thinking about it, right? And you do it in order to make yourself a certain kind of person. And I'm interested in this kind of language because it's a very Foucauldian way of talking. I mean, it's a very other types of ways of talking, but it's also very Foucauldian. Can I just get over there, please? And maybe finally make this beeping stop. Oh, I don't have the big key even. Oh, wait a second. Do I have the big key? I do not have the big key. I don't even know where the big key is, so I can't go and get the big item, which is down over there. Then there's got to be one door that I haven't opened yet. And man, I really don't want to go a whole episode without having really done anything. But it appears that that's what's going to happen to me. Ah, is there another one this way? Can I throw this? Can I throw this? Yay! Okay, let's go this way. Maybe there's another door this way that I failed to open. No. What, I think that goes to the big key, though. Did we decide that there was another... Okay, before we do that, let's go down here. Yeah, I already got that. Oh, Zelda fans watching me wondering why I'm the worst at what I do. Ah! Okay, I got hit. I'm gonna go back to the beginning of the dungeon. That's gonna do it for this episode of PETEPLAYS. I don't know that I'm getting any better at talking coherently while I play a video game, but I'm having fun. I hope you're having fun. We'll see you next time on PETEPLAYS. Bye, guys.